Okie dokie. Hello. This is Raven with Anna, Couch
Hello, everybody.
Raven
Yeah,
Janelle, Joan Raven Friedlander, whatever. So I was laughing for a moment because we decided we would call ourselves the OG girls, Open G Center girls. And then I thought, well, that's really funny because what does the Open G or the undefined G want? It wants to label itself. It wants an identity. So we
yeah,
gave ourselves this identity. Um, And with the completely open G for B, it's like I have a moment of tripping out about that I don't have a consistent identity and I keep trying to fix it. And you just have one gate, so
yeah. And
yeah,
this is
so
so interesting. It's so interesting that today we talk about the ego center
yeah.
because it's going to be it's going to be because you have ego center open and I have it fixed. And rather than in the open G, we are both open.
Uh-huh.
So we look at all these possibilities even and all the things we can see. It's endless. Like that's why I have a feeling when we talk about the open G, I feel it's like the topic is endless. But here it will be interesting because
Hmm.
you definitely have one perspective and there is so much to say about the open ego. And I do like, as I started thinking about it through this week, to be pretty honest, the only view on the ego I have is the way I experience it. Yeah. So my
Uh-huh.
way of feeling it is really
Mm.
fixed.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. Now I have a question because despite the fact that it's an undefined center for me, I have two gates coming out of it and one pointing towards it. So I was also looking at from that perspective and including my personality sun in the incarnation cross. So it's pretty significant, but
Wow.
I think it gets turned on and turned off. And it definitely does things
Mm-hmm.
around defined egos. You do.
Yeah, it's because I'm in front of the window. Just
Oh,
we like
okay.
today we were discussing. We have changed a little bit location. So Raven is
Right.
trying a new location, and it's
Uh-huh.
another OG moment. And I'm in front of the window. This is my new place. And because I'm in the front of the window, somebody brought something onto my balcony and they saw me in the window and
Oh.
they're like showing me communication in front of my window.
Gotcha. Yeah. So one of the things, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. So one of the things that we've talked about is I can feel tiny bit of competitiveness. I mean, the 51 has that frequency, so good luck not
Mm,
having it. But it's also pretty uncomfortable in me. It's like an uncomfortable feeling. And I mean, you don't have the fifth. I guess I'm curious, do you have other gates coming out of it besides your channel, which is the
I
26,
have
40?
I have 45 looking at
Uh-huh.
ego, yeah. And I sometimes want to have that peace because a 45 really sometimes takes the role because it's the voice, it's the throat, yeah. And I think it's sometimes I really want to manifest myself as 45, 21, but I don't have the 21 and I don't have the
No.
channel. I'm not that kind of manifesting thing. But sometimes there is this, I said or I want or, I need and I have said so it should be like this. And I do
Mhm.
feel my 45 pretty strongly.
Mhm.
But I definitely don't have the position to for that authority because I do feel that 45 is a kind of authority
Mm.
and
Mm.
I am never in the position of the authority, so I can have all kind of voice and kind of feeling inside of me, but I never have that authority to say, uh,
Mhm.
I'll chop your head off if you don't do the way. I definitely have
That's the
this.
21's role. I think the 21 is
Mm,
it's more like, it's a strike. I mean, John Martin had the 21, so I have the 45 as well. So, I mean, one of the again, these are keynotes. Life happens, but the 45 is like you know, the gatherer. come together, takes care of, looks after the needs and the wants, and the 21 is the hunter and goes
Mm,
after. So it was a pretty good combination as long as, I mean, theoretically, the 45 is the owner and the
mhm,
21 is the other. I mean, in that business, John was the owner, but
mhm.
in our roles.
It's like they have to ask permission from me, like when the things are done, let's say on my territory or something. Like sometimes I'm like, why
Mhm.
nobody asked me? Or why do you have a feeling you can do something about it, which I feel it's mine or something like this. I feel this
Uh-huh.
coming out of me.
Yeah. And we haven't been together in Aura, but I have a kind of a funny story about the 45 as well. So my ex-husband also had the 45, not the 21. He had a defined ego center with the 3740. Um,
Oh, 3740.
but we used to
It's
get in.
quite a ride. It's quite a ride.
Yeah, but we used to get in once in a while to these energetic tug of wars. And the best I did with it once that I recognized what was happening is when I actually moved to Sedona. So I moved and he stayed where he was, but he, helped me get there. And I made a decision because I recognized like who's going to be in charge. That was the conflict sometimes. And on that particular event of getting my stuff into the house, into the condo, I actually decided to acquiesce, like, I will let him lead the way, and it went really smoothly. So,
Yeah,
somebody had to
yeah,
surrender.
yeah. So when I was a little girl, they called me the commander.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
So I have from my early childhood, I have these two confirmations. I have the confirmation of my PHS as a water drinker because that's what everybody they gave me the name for that water. I
mhm,
kept asking for water, and my PHS is thirst.
mhm,
So and then they called me the commander, which is like I would tell them that this is how it should be done, especially if the things were like about me, and there was like no, I said it should be done like this is my thing, this is
hmm,
my way. So I think yes, my partners, when they give me the way, especially about, I do know when those are not my things. I am very clear about that, and I'm quite relaxed, and I can say, better, do it. Like, I don't want the headache as well. But if it's something, I don't know, something that I feel my property or is mine, then it
yep,
has to be done my way. Yeah.
yeah. I have no idea if this comes in here because I also what I wanted to do, what I'm current because I did kind of look at different things just in prep for this because of course it's undefined. So I'm curious. How does that
Oh, I
work?
wanna I wanna say another thing. So my mom has 45. I don't remember about my grandma, but my grandma had a defined ego for like she had everything defined. And so we have this thing in the family of this between us, between these three women, yeah. So there was this grandmother's house, which my mom was also invited. Even after she was married, she would come there, stay sometimes 3 months with grandma and everything. There was always this thing that she is the owner, she is the queen, and the grandmother, and she decides the order of things.
Mhm.
And then my mom would not act like this is the order of things, even if she is in charge of some things, like the grandma should say how the things go. Now my mom is there, so in I think my relationship with my mom is a little bit better, but it's the same. We keep it the same way. She has the 45. So it's like automatically when I'm there, everything about the house, let's say, goes the way she says. That's why maybe I don't really feel,
Well,
yes.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting I mean, that you said that because I'm remembering and I know this, but first of all, my mother has the 4526, which so for in the and she has defined ego. Not from that, but it's in her it's in her design. I think it's her design or sun. So it's confrontation. She's on the left angle cross of confrontation. Um, the my environment on the design side is the 45-26. So I do not quite, someday I'm going to get in front of somebody who can say, this is how the nodal, how this gets expressed. Like I have not yet found something that says, because it's a slight shift in, it's kind of me, not me, I think. It's like what I'm here to watch, to be a part of, where I can do my work. I don't know. um, because I also have that 26 gate, and that's unconscious, which is half the transmitter channel, the egoist. Um,
Mm.
but
Shall we talk about that?
what would you
The
say?
egoist, shall we talk about that?
Sure, yes, it's interesting. And I have a go ahead. You want to give it a shot?
Like, first, now that you said this word, egoist, I have remembered another thing from this is why I find these confirmations really powerful, especially from the childhood, because nobody knew the design, nobody cared,
Sure.
and if people called you this way, then now we can look at it and it's like people already recognize. So actually, one of the first difficult words that I learned in the kindergarten was the egoist. And
Really?
it was me. And the teacher in the kindergarten asked all the children, um, do you want a brother? It was a very common question here. I don't know why. Do you want a brother? Do you want a sister? And everybody was saying like they want to have a brother or sister. And then they asked me, do you want to have a brother or sister? I said, I don't want brother or sister. I want that mom loves me.
Well, yeah.
you know and she was like, this was Soviet Union. I was born in the Soviet Union. I lived in Soviet Union for like 7 years about, and we had this very collective and very tribal
Mhm,
system that you should say only things in a certain way, and
mhm.
only certain things are good. So she was like in front of everyone, she's like, you're an egoist. And then I came home and asked my mom, and she gave me the explanation what egoist means. So here we go.
Here
I
we
have,
are. Yeah.
yeah, 44, 26. That's me. That's me.
Uh-huh.
I don't want brother or sister. I want that my mom loves
Here's
me.
the part. Here's how it's gonna work.
Yeah. And I
That
think
it's
mom
the
asked me. And I think mom asked me.
mm,
I think mom asked me, and even before the kindergarten teacher. And I think I was very clear on the position. Like, I don't understand why why I should divide and share
yeah.
your attention with someone else. I was very clear about it.
That's interesting. I mean, I would say I didn't have the choice. My brother was born when I was 2.5, but I don't think I appreciated him. I guess what I'll say it this way, and I don't really know where this fits. Um,
Mhm.
but generally speaking, and it might be those little pieces, like the little hooks, not,
Yeah.
not having the whatever, um, is I can two one-on-one partnerships are a whole lot easier on my system. When you get 3 people involved, I am less comfortable. So my brother, he was the 4th person in the family, but there was there were the little places of competition, um, in the family
Mm.
dynamic.
I think I would definitely would accept. I don't know how exactly I would feel, but I think I would accept if there was another sibling. Mm. But I think I do represent the the only child thing.
Mhm,
But I don't know. I've been quite responsible. I never expected. I wasn't really spoiled in my family, but the point of like attention is mine. I am the one. I am the center. That's
mhm,
definitely, yeah, that's definitely like when people speak to me, I feel it energetically so much when when their attention goes somewhere else. This has not been acceptable for me
mhm.
since very early age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to, when I was younger, and again, I can't tell you where this comes from, which of those gates, but if any of them, maybe none of them. But I remember in grade school that if a teacher seemed to favor a student,
Mm-hmm.
I saw unfairness.
Oh,
And I don't know, again, if that's that little competitive thing or
I saw
not.
so much unfairness. I think maybe that's the sixth line. I don't know. I think
Mm,
we had to witness so much unfairness as we
mm,
were growing up. Like there were, I think unfairness was the theme of my there. I don't know, until 30s, probably. Unfairness was the theme. And I think sixth line, because we have the standard inside of us, like how
mhm,
things in human, yeah. What is the human way
yeah.
to have the things? So unfairness, I don't know. I'm very sensitive to unfairness.
And
So
I think that ties back to what we were talking about before we started recording. You're seeing some unfairness, and
yeah,
we can't fix everything. We just get to see it. Um,
yeah,
you know, and one
yeah.
of the things,
But
go ahead.
mm, I think as a fixed ego, as a
Mhm,
defined ego, I do have when it's about agreements, when
mhm,
it's about deals, when it's
mhm,
about who is doing what.
mhm,
Like generally unfairness, yeah, it can be like all around us. When I see that, when I'm making the deal, I'm making my part, and then the other person, then it's very difficult for me to just pretend that it's some kind of general unfairness. And I
mm,
will, the elder I get, because yeah, definitely when I was younger it was harder to speak up, my throat is undefined. But now when I see the unfairness in the deals, in the contracts, in the that, like, you, yeah, I'm paying you and you're doing like service, like I get, like, roof gets off the head. Like I can see, like I literally, I am I am rude, I am steaming, and I want these people to see that, this is not okay with me.
mhm,
And at least they have to get the discomfort.
mm, mm,
I am provide, like, I'm definitely, like, I know even as an ego I cannot push everything through, I realize it, but at least they have to get the discomfort from, like, running this deal unfairly, or like treating me unfairly in certain agreements, let's
mm.
say.
Uh-huh,
At least
yes,
they
yeah, and part of the keynote is the transmitter here to, you bring the goodies to the tribe. You say, hey, this is going to work, whether it's true or not. The ability to manipulate memory is there. It's just there. I mean, it's interesting because we have these things as bad, but it's just the mechanics. Um, and years ago, I did a program about the openness, and we were going through the transits to see how they were hitting our design, and we were tracking that at the time as in the course of the program. And I remember saying, I don't really see myself as the egoist, like that characteristic, that marketer, because the 26
Mhm.
is the marketer. And the woman leading it said, oh yeah, it's in you, like it's unconscious though. And now I can see it. So I can see it when I write marketing materials. Like it comes out, I know how to do it. And and I don't know what this is. Again, maybe it's the ultimate lack of definition. It grosses me out. Like it's kind of icky. I don't really like expressing that. So perhaps I'm really only here to see it, not be it. I'm not sure.
Actually ego feels icky.
Mm.
So my thought on this, my thought on this, as long as as long as you are a generator, I will not speak for other,
Yeah.
because I have some idea, but I don't know how they feel. But
Hmm.
I think as long as, and this is what I got, this is was so important for me to get this part when it was leaving our design, because I remembered that this is what I got. So when I'm a generator,
Hmm.
um, My
Which is
energy is
always.
yeah, my energy is a primary thing.
Yes.
So my
Yes.
ego is a secondary thing.
Yes.
So no matter how my ego is driving, no matter how it's pushing, no matter how it's not getting that foot down or not getting that agreement or whatever, it's up to the sacral if we are going for it, if we are not going for it. But
Mhm.
ego feels not primary, it feels strange, and following the, like, I either have to have that energy, but even if I have the energy, I am not about the ego. I have to deal with it. I have
Uh-huh.
to comply with it.
Mhm.
I have to use that motor correctly. I have to use my willpower correctly. But it feels strange and it feels icky.
Yeah.
The ego part of me feels icky to my,
Mhm.
because I have what? I have three centers. So I have sacral, I have ego, and I have a spleen. So I think spleen is just sending on the side and just like helping me survive, giving me some awareness.
Mhm.
And then generally I have these two motors, and sometimes if I don't have the energy, I'll just say, okay, we are not doing this ego thing right now. We
Mhm.
are not, because I can feel that um I can choose.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and the sacral chooses. And one of the things that it's not news, but it's startling. So, we talk about the will, we talk about willpower, and then in the culture, at least the culture over here, when there's a will, there's a way. But the thing about the will and the thing about the ego as mechanics of the physical heart is
Yeah.
it needs to rest. Like it's actually its primary directive is to rest. It's like it can go only so far and then it has to stop. So when we're
Yes.
pushing the will, we're actually not honoring, I generally speaking, honoring what seems to be the bigger truth, which is it it's a different kind of a motor. It's not like the sacral motor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happened to me right now, in like right here, I really used my willpower to reestablish the new life, because there was a certain amount of time when I needed to find home. I needed to make this deal, and willpower for me is intention. So it
Mm.
was very important for me how to express my intention, how to make clear what my intention is to myself, first of all. And then when I set that intention, I'm like a dog, like good when that intention doesn't need to stretch very further in the future. And at least this intention is like, in these 2 weeks, this has to be done. And,
Mhm.
we have to arrange this. And then that dog's inside of me doesn't sleep. And I know that in the past 2, 3 weeks, I have exhausted my heart, and I have exhausted that constant control to get the things done within a certain period of time the way I want it to be done. I definitely have exhausted. I definitely overused it. And I am a little bit like sick now. And pain,
Mhm.
where I have the pain, it's exactly behind my heart, like
Oh,
in
wow.
my back.
Uh-huh.
And these past 2, 3 days, I actually allowed my body. I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm not
Uh-huh.
driving anymore. We don't have targets. It's okay. Let's take our time, and everything else what I need to do, like the furniture, blah blah blah. I already know it will happen. I cannot even use my ego to drive that part because it depends on too many people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think, it seems, and there's an aspect of aloneness, like the 40th gate has a pure aspect of aloneness, and it kind of wants to be left alone. I don't know. It's like whatever it is, um, it's supportive. So in response, like when you respond, it can come in to support but it's
Mhm.
still a supporting player. It's not the primary
Yeah,
player.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a supporting player, but sometimes when I engage so much, and I can see that, like you told me a few times that you don't feel how I'm pushing, but with you,
Mhm.
I don't have anything to push. I have a pleasure to discuss, and this is something where my transmitter can simply turn on. But when I need to push for things to happen within certain limits of time,
Mhm.
I do push other people, I do push myself,
Mhm.
and I do get tired from it. Like my body gets tired, and I can feel that I have been pushing. Mm. There is one example I want to say, I
Okay.
want to talk about. So I was studying at school, and there was this intention for me, mm, that I have to finish school really well with really good grades, because my family didn't provide for me the opportunity to get the higher education, for money or something like this. So there was this ambition that I have to study really well in order to, get somewhere. And I remember that there was like 1 in the morning or like 2 in the morning, and I'm forcing myself to write stuff. We used to have a lot of homework, and I wouldn't let myself sleep. And I remember that my physical body was aching. I am
Mm.
this teenager. I realized that this is not the way it's supposed to be. And I realized that I am the one, I'm the strict master, and
Mm.
there is this voice inside of me. This has to be done for this morning. It has to be done. And I
Mm.
could feel how merciless I am to myself, and how hard I am on myself, and that I don't care how much it will cost me physically, and that I don't sleep, but it has to be done. And I started crying.
Mm.
And I remember those nights when I'm crying from realization that this is what I am doing to myself,
Uh-huh. Wow.
that nobody else, and this is what I feel with some ego people who come my way. Like sometimes I don't need to see their chart, I just can see how they are driving themselves through
Yeah.
things. And yeah, like I just feel it, and they can push me as well, and then I see how they push themselves, and I know there is no person in the world who can push them harder than they can push themselves.
Uh-huh. And so the same can happen with an undefined or open ego
So how do you
center.
experience it? Mm.
Well, I think, the statements of the questions of the open is, it's about proving, the need to prove, the need to be successful on the material plane. Interestingly enough, the 51st gate is not about the material plane. So my personality is here to it's going up the I mean, it's heading towards the mystical stream, and it's heading towards the centering circuit, and on the other side is the 57, which is about individuation. But the pressures to be productive, to 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 make something of myself, and I grew up in a family with all egos, like all my 2 parents and
Mm.
my brother
I
have
cannot
defined
imagine. I
defined
cannot imagine.
egos, and I'm currently in the atmosphere, I call it, of my mother, so I'm watching myself kind of almost backslide in a way in my own feelings about myself. It's really my feelings about myself. It doesn't really that's not true. The mind can, somehow the mind gets in like, okay, I got to get this going because, my mother, she only asked me, what are you doing? And the way she asks it is like to prove that I'm doing something. This, and I don't know if this is my interpretation, but it feels like this, that um validates the fact that I don't go see her very much. Like, and it's always, "What are you doing?" And then, I got hit with Crohn's disease, an intestinal
Mm.
illness when I was 36, and I was actually in my first career that felt like, "Oh, this is my place, this fits for me, I love it, I'm learning, blah, blah, blah." And later on, maybe 4 years into it, I think my mom said to me, "Well, at least now we'll expect less from you." Which just like, just it pissed me, it killed it's like Anyway, so the family pressures, my father was a 45-21.
Mm,
My mom is a 37-40, and my brother's got your channel. So
mm, wow. So you
the
have
only
seen
one,
it all. You have seen it
yeah,
all.
experience it all. And that my father carried the 25, and so there was a resonance with him. However, um, I mean, he definitely was a very successful money guy, but he's also a generator with solar
Mhm.
plexus authority. So um the money, I mean, he was successful materially, but it was not, well, maybe that's all I'll say. So
Mm.
I guess, and I still feel it. Like um I catch myself a lot doing things to prove, and I have, if I want to say this
But
now when I,
but this proving, like I'm trying to find the
no,
difference.
receiving approval. Actually, I'm going to flip it to
Okay.
receive approval, to
So
like
the
to
only
be,
approval that I need to receive is mine.
as I'm aware of. I'm aware of this.
So this is the
But
difference. This is the difference, maybe, yeah?
oh,
Mm.
actually, truthfully, maybe this is what you were saying and I heard it differently. I am not even here to approve of myself. That's the thing. You maybe
Uh,
it's, like that, approval proving is also not to yourself, not in my case, not to myself.
yeah,
What is
sure,
my
sure.
response? Period.
Like, okay, can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
So, is it healthy for you to avoid evaluation, even your own evaluation of yourself? If this is how
Avoid
you feel,
avoid what?
avoiding, yeah, avoiding evaluation, because I think
Oh.
we all do some kind like, was I good? Did I do enough? It's healthy for you to avoid it, to not do that, no? Yes. Yeah.
Turn off that little fucker. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I mean, I
because
have a defined mind, which is about organization. So, and the split, so the split that goes with all that, the 48th gate is one of my missing gates, which is inadequacy. So it's a very beautiful harmonizing a moment with the undefined ego. I'm beginning to relax into, but it's so hard to relax into. Like, I don't know what's happening. I mean, money right now has gone like, "Oops," and to actually not do something in order to fix that, but rather to follow the spirit of my energy is a trick. It's tricky.
so I have a good example.
Uh-huh.
So when I was about 19 or 20, it happened with me that I was in a big city. So I'm from a big city. I'm from Kharkov, but I was in Kiev. And it happened that, you know how sometimes young people, they want to do things and they obviously don't care, like have money, they don't have money, they want to do things, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I was in this big city without money, and I went through this fear trip because the society, the family, everybody tells you you will not survive. And I had this experience where
Mm.
I had no money, but like I had place to stay. Then when I didn't have this place to stay, like something else happened to me. I had food to eat. So when I remember, till now I remember that fear trip I went through, because the mind was telling me every day that I will not survive, and how can you survive in a
Mhm.
big city when you don't have money? And after I went through it, there was this my personal realization that this is all bullshit.
Mhm.
That in order to actually survive, like life, I literally, that was the first time without human design, without anything, I actually got an experience that life takes care of me. Like it felt very right for me to do what I did. Like
Mhm.
that's the reason I did it. I was like, if I'm gonna say no, if I'm not gonna go, like this is like, it was almost like I'm not living my life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I left the doubts, yeah, and I was just doing what felt right for me. And then the mind was eating me alive because because there
Right,
was
right.
Yeah, there was no, yeah, like there was everything that I was taught that I should have and I should prepare, and and then I survived in this big city, and actually good things happened to me in the end. It was all okay. And I was like, I survived, and this is not true, and life takes care of you. And from time to time, a very similar thing happened to me in China. Um, it was crazy to not have a job when I have to pay for the visa, I have to pay the rent. I'm in a foreign country, but I have made a couple of choices that they don't make sense in a strategic way how you should take care of yourself, financially, and I survived. And because I actually have this experiences that I've survived, yet my mind, I still have a lot of fear. Even my spleen gives me fear.
Right. Well, it's got that fear. We both carry that 34, 57. That 57 can go into, intuition in the now, making the best of, in my case, or it can go into fear of the future. It
I
kind of,
always have the fear of the future. I'm always aware of it. But I also know that when I'm in the situation, and every time it proves itself, that
Mhm.
I've survived every situation, whether I had money or I didn't have money, or I
Yep.
had all the tribal protection or I didn't have any, which I usually don't.
Yeah. I mean, true to ourselves and true to our energy is the senior thing. So right now, so the 51st gate one, part of the competitive thing is actually it's the first to get out of the tribe. Like it's literally leaping into
Mm,
the it's got, the
interesting.
gall. Again, it has
Mhm.
to be by response in my case as a generator. Um, but sense so there's that, and I am getting ready to leave, and I don't know where to, move on. I don't know where I'm going, and I don't quite know yet. Yeah, I don't know where yet. Um, but what's interesting in the conditioning that I'm in, being near my mom, I mean, I know that there's this belief from her that I have messed up. Like I didn't hit this age and have a big retirement nest. But I'm not designed to do that. I'm designed to respond into the now in the now, right? To the energy. And it's pretty weird because I do get afraid. And my brother is like, you just need to get a job. And it's like, well, maybe. And it's not that I don't have resources, but right now it's like I'm just hanging on, here to them rather than saying energy wants to go, energy sees these places to go. I don't know if they're correct. I don't know where I'm gonna land, which is very irresponsible. But guess what? The 34th gate is on the third line. So it's a trial and error response process.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the only other place I have a third line is in the fourth gate, which is all about irresponsibility. So, but it's interesting because the other systems, I'm just in that atmosphere. And that's all, it's in the atmosphere. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but this is what I'm noticing and experiencing for myself. And I do wake up in dread pretty much every morning
Mm.
and fear about the future. I mean, I suspect I'm also picking up this is a very weird time in this country. I mean, you had a weird time in your country, it's differently, but it's very uncomfortable here with our fun election around the
Yeah,
corner.
I do think that because ego is a tribal thing, and we do see
Mhm.
how actually it doesn't work anymore. It's exactly how the system worked, how organization, how work worked, how everything worked. It doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
And I recognize that from the eyes of this organized system, I am a loser. It's just that I'm never bothered because I also don't have like savings. I never know what's going to happen
Mhm.
like tomorrow. Um,
That's the
but it's just
ultimate.
like for a fixed ego, it's very difficult to bring me down. Only if I have, it's only if it's me who has decided that I'm a loser, then I'm in a trap. Then I need help, because me giving myself that evaluation is very serious. But
Yeah.
it's very difficult for the outside circumstances or people give me evaluation, because my evaluation sees it
Yeah.
and sees it as like, that's your evaluation, that's bullshit, you have no measurement, you don't even have tools to measure. So that's how my ego,
Yes.
it's measuring their evaluation.
Mm,
I think for me, being an individual and having 34, 57, only the failure to survive,
yep.
that like, if there will be really some kind of, if I would see that I am not doing enough or I'm not supporting myself enough to survive, then, but so far it's like there is always confirmation, like we're surviving really well. So it's
Yes.
like
That's the truth.
yeah, pat on the shoulder of the ego, like, keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know.
And same here. I've survived. I'm fine. I'm fine. I have food. I have a car. I have survived and I'm still surviving. It's just, yeah, it's just something, it's an interesting time. I was going to say something, what I observe a little bit about the defined ego, and tell me if this resonates,
Mhm.
is there is a belief in oneself. There is a belief in the material plane. So this is
That
what I'm
I
saying.
can, I
May I,
can do it, I
yeah,
can.
yeah. So when I
Even if I
see now,
cannot, even if I cannot, it's like I can. Even if I cannot. And sometimes it takes me, yeah.
I'm watching it around me. Like, so I said, my ex-husband has a defined ego, and I felt it was like he was so sure I'll get there's this level of certainty which almost feels like arrogance. I'll just say it from my
It
perspective.
is
And
arrogance. It is
the person
arrogance.
the person that I'm with has live with his house I'm in has a defined ego, and um
It is arrogance.
without giving any personal things away, I can tell there's this weird comfort with the fluctuation of her resources. I think I'll put it that way.
That arrogance is also a kind of protection, and it works as a shield. So sometimes it's incredible. Sometimes I play that card consciously. So I'm in front of somebody and playing that arrogance will make them believe that even the things that I do not possess and I don't have it in my authority, but they will feel that I can and I may and I have the right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that arrogance, sometimes it convinces me as well, because I'm afraid of a lot of things. And then something inside, like my ego says, you can, you really can do it. And even if when I do it, I realize I even didn't, because I also have a lot of third lines and I don't evaluate well and I jump into experiences, and only when I'm in experience I realize how complex,
Mm.
and it would be good to have this and this and this resources. And I'm like, how did you say in the beginning that you can,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I realize the complexity only when I'm inside of it, but somehow I get through it with less damage. So I think this is the point, less damage, because I have it defined. So even if I overuse my ambition or arrogance or whatever, it will still be like easier on me compared to you. If I think if you was the open ego, you would drive yourself through with this artificial drive in a way,
Yes.
and
Yes,
then
it
it does
starts
more
things.
damage.
Yeah, it starts things a lot. Like, okay, this is going to be the magic formula for whatever. Oh, this is. And then and and I appreciate that at this point, because I even laugh at it like, Oops, I did it again. You know,
Oops.
the Britney Spears song, Oops, I did it
Mm.
again. That's my go-to when I can get to that point of laughter. Um, Guess that's it. There was more, but it's gone.
I remember like when John Martin was giving me I don't remember which part of the reading that was, but when he was explaining the ego to me, he was like, you can commit going to the gym and maybe you will go even a couple of times when you don't have the energy to go there, but it will give you much less damage than it would do to me. He
Mm-hmm.
had an open ego, yeah. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah, like
you
yeah, I'm in an exercise. I'm actually started, I hired a personal trainer a couple of months ago. I never have done that. And I'm really doing it. I mean, I have a couple of dates a week that I meet with her, and I keep those. But then she'll send me like she has an app she uses. She'll send me things to do on different days. I engage when I have the energy to engage. So in that regard, I have let go, and doing it. I'm doing it, but I am also doing it when I am available to do it. So that's, I
yeah.
would say, a shift
Mhm.
away from needing to push and prove.
But also what I noticed, yeah, also what I noticed over the years, my heart, my ego, my willpower is much more ready to engage when there are others. So if
Hmm.
I'm doing it with them, in front of them, if they're paying me, if I have an agreement, if like for
Uh-huh.
example, if I have to do yoga by myself, there will be much more like all this hesitation, yeah. Maybe today I don't have like energy or whatever, but if I am committed to do yoga with a group of people or in front of them or somehow something like together, some kind of together thing, my ego will be so much up to it, and that regular thing will be like
Mm-hmm.
healthier for me. So sometimes
Right.
when I know I need to get myself into doing something, I'm like, let me start doing it with them. It's not like a group thing, but um it's more like engaging and them maybe having some example. I'm gonna be an example for them or something like this. Then I know I will be much more regular and I will like the energy will flow
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So me doing it together with others, yeah, setting a standard, teaching them, um, something like this. Not really a group thing, like not really, but something like they know that at this point of time I will be there and I have told them that I'm doing it. And that commitment is definitely working miracles for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I became a yoga teacher also, and I engaged into yoga so much is because in the ashram the yoga school, they will already like in order for you to learn what they have taught you today, you have to get in front of 3 or 4 people and you have to teach that thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I had to do it every day. And because I was
Mm-hmm.
teaching them, I started like getting so much into the things. And I was like, oh, this is fun when you have to show others how to do it.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teaching. That'll help us show up. I mean, I show up for my appointments with people. I mean, I know one person who so appreciated that he could do it this way. But he had a service business, and people, a chiropractic, and people would call him, um, and ask if he could do it on such and such a day. And he said, I don't know, call me that morning and I'll let you know. Like, he just was so free and like, let's see if I have the energy then. Like,
I am, yeah,
that's another way. It's not my way, but
that's so healthy. Yeah, that's so
uh-huh.
healthy. But I'm definitely, I need much more commitment and it's healthy for me to have certain like okay, so I'm teaching English online. I'm so grateful that I have this schedule. So I can do all these things and running around during my day. But when I sit down and I follow the schedule and this have, I just feel how healthy it is for me.
Mhm, mhm.
I just feel that, oh, you know, the class starts and we do our
Uh-huh.
regular thing. And I know it's going to be like from 1 to 4. It's almost like I'm resting because I have this schedule and I can be engaged with the schedule. And it's like so good.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I'm kind of also thinking, because you've got the defined ego, mine is undefined. And if I have responded to show up,
mhm,
then it's healthy. It's not like I'm pushing. If and I
yeah.
and I have gotten to know, I mean, one of my systems is to help people kind of understand their energy flow. And I used to do this for my clients in business, and I did it for me, is I know, I mean, we usually have been meeting a half hour earlier. The time that we started today is my sweet spot. My sweet spot in a day for engaging with people is typically between 11 and 2, maybe 3 o'clock in terms of being of service. Now I can go later, I can be flexible. Also, I also know Friday afternoons leave me alone, and then Mondays too. So I have established, I'll say for myself, this kind of a flow routine. So when I agree to do things with people, it's in response in the moment. Yes, I can do it then. And then generally speaking, these are my availability hours. So I can show
Mhm.
up. So I can show up
Yes,
because
but you can you see, it's okay for you to be late.
to be what?
To be
Tr
late.
No, open route. Are you kidding me? No, that's really old stuff.
Look, look, for example, Bina, yeah, you know Bina,
Uh-huh,
the yeah, she also has open root and she has
uh-huh,
open ego. So what
uh-huh.
she says, and I think she's also relying on her thing. She's
Mm,
like, there you will have like open ego. It's like you will have all the circumstances that will make you late. That will just happen
with the open ego?
with the open ego.
Huh.
That's her experience. And she, by the way, she's very professional. I absolutely like, I adore
Mhm,
her courses. I don't take many, but I see a lot of her courses on YouTube because she posts. And so often, like, you know, she has a plan, she has a schedule, but if she doesn't feel good, she feels a bit sick, she
mhm,
doesn't have the energy. You can see, like, she often talks about it. You know, we're not on the schedule. It happened again. You know, what happens when I don't have the energy, blah, blah, blah. So she's like she's 3'5" as well. I don't know if that
okay.
makes a difference. She's very relaxed about it, that I know I cannot follow the schedule and I am fine to let you know that, you
Mm,
know, I will finish the program. It's just that I cannot tell you when I will
uh-huh.
finish this program.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm the place where I'm more relaxed about that. I mean, it's funny, I bought some stupid planner, which I knew I didn't want to buy, that was gonna, like, make you more productive, and I'm, like, so over that. So I just have this piece of where are we? I mean, this is, like, a list of things to do in the week, but I do them when I do them. Like, the previous paper took 2 weeks. So I use it more like a menu to respond to,
Good.
and the
Many
thing
to respond to. Great.
a menu to respond to. And and I say, okay, these are kind of important, these are the priorities. And yeah, I like
Mm-hmm.
doing the check marks, but it doesn't,
Mm,
but it's, I mean, I used to help people stop doing that to themselves, because people would create these checklists, right, of ridiculous things to get done, and then like be overwhelmed. It's like, well, because
mm-hmm.
you're putting too much on your plate. But that's, it's
Yeah.
probably, it's just, again, there's a lot of the, the whole area of productivity is kind of one of my study areas. Um, so it's
You
interesting.
see, this is what I'm coming to the moment now, productivity and everything. So there is this whole new definition of success, of what success is. So if we look at the old world and how success was defined, like you have to have this, you have to do
Mhm.
this, you have to
Mhm.
achieve, you have to show, you have to prove. And now even like with this new generation that we have, that
Mhm.
really brings this absolutely new flavor. It's
Mm,
like, no, you have to have a life that you want to have. That's the success itself.
yeah.
if
Yes,
if if
yes.
if you want more rest, or you just want to hang around, if you feel like you need more space, you don't want to have too many people around you, like going to the office, meaning that's success. That if you can afford having that, if you can
Mhm.
afford the lifestyle that that actually is relaxing or nurturing, that's success.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
definition of success has changed, right?
Yes, yes, and, I actually I think it was part of my deconditioning process, but I had read, Jed McKenna's Spiritual Enlightenment trilogy, like, 3 times in a row, like, I just kinda so I really it's split off a lot of these paradigms, but I wrote something called Shed the Shackles of Should, and I started to tune in and listen to the words that are used that create this crazy pressure. And some of them, even the more endearing things in the self-help or self-development, like you have to get out of your comfort zone. And I'm like, why?
Who
Like
told?
there's
Yeah.
like what life is already uncomfortable. Like why not be
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
comfort
Life is
zone?
already uncomfortable. Exactly.
So yeah, so I tore it apart. And it was so I relieved and actually going through that process, I have this weird perspective. I don't know if this is I think this is off topic. Um, but in a weird way, the world is flat. Now, that's very archaic, but what I'm seeing is we have this thing called I'm gonna grow and I'm going to improve. That's one of the words in there too. And it's like, but there's nowhere to go. There's like
Mhm.
nowhere. There is no this thing that humans have created called growth and getting
Mhm.
ahead. And it's like, no, right here, right now is all there is.
Mhm. Mhm. It takes a lot of maturity to get here. It sounds so much simple of concept, but it
Yeah.
takes a lot of maturity to stop chasing.
Yes, yes, and
Mhm.
I'd say it's a Herculean effort because
Yeah.
it's it's the atmosphere, the environment is the opposite of that.
And what I wanted to, some kind of conclusion I'm
Yeah.
coming to with our topic. So stop chasing whatever, whatever that is, whatever that dog is running behind you, whether it's defined ego or undefined
Mhm.
ego,
Mhm. Yeah.
because those, they just have a bit different motivation, but they're still pushing. So
Mhm.
stop chasing, yeah, and
Yeah.
and relax and just be in the moment, or be present, or live your life, and feel that's enough. And that's the definition of success, whether it's defined or undefined ego.
Yes. Yes. Yes, because ultimately through the lens of what we're engaging with here, it's your inner authority, whatever it is, whether it's a sacral, solar plexus, will, splenic, G, mental.
Mhm.
That's that's what moves the life. And all of these other things are great ideas.
Yeah. I didn't know that we could discuss the ego in such a. I thought it would be harder because G feels hard, but I think we really floated through it.
Nice,
I
yeah.
don't know. Do you feel like doing second part on ego?
I don't know. I mean, we can swing back. Do you?
Hmm?
I'll
There
tell you
are
what I had in
there
mind.
are things like there are things like we can look at tribal more in
Mhm.
details. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
we
are
can go
some
into
channels to discuss, but it was a very great start.
yeah.
And even maybe this is enough because we came to this conclusion. Whether you're chased by open ego or whether you're chased by the fixed ego, just pushing life through doesn't make any sense.
Pushing life, right. Pushing life uh is uh, yeah.
It's so natural. It's
Yeah.
so
I mean, I can feel like I told you, I can feel my heart I can feel pressure on my heart now. Like I can, and I have to, fortunately I have my writing practice in the morning because it usually moves, which is what just is me dumping my mind for the most part. But I just, where did you go? Did you go away? Okay, well, I'm gonna finish this up. I think we lost on Anna. Um, but I was going to say that I thought it would be interesting. I guess I'll pause. Hang on.
Is it still recording?
It is now.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank God.
so, so what I was thinking as I was doing this, because I've been listening to us as well with the Ajna Center, how you observe your open Ajna and also my defined. I thought that would be another, like the next interesting territory to go.
It's going to be very interesting. It's just like I don't know how lost you feel about your open ego, but I do really feel lost about my open ajna. I can talk about it a lot, but
Mhm.
this is the place where I really feel lost. Yeah.
That's so interesting because the way you've spoken to me about it so far that I've
Mm-hmm.
heard is to recognize that and to also recognize the definition in my throat to the ajna. Like you'll say, "Oh, I don't have that," but how I'm hearing it is there's been a comfort about that. But yeah, so that's my thought about where we could go next.
And by the way, I feel that you are very organized and very responsible. So this is what I wanted to say all this program that you feel and then you find all this confirmation. But the way I experience you, very organized, very responsible. I do feel you more responsible than I feel myself. I don't know why is that. But often like you show all this commitment and you are organized with all the details. And sometimes I feel like I am a little bit like laid back, maybe more. And
Hmm.
yeah, you
Hmm.
are an example for me. You are an example for me of organization and the form of how the things can be done. And I absolutely don't experience you from that point that you have described.
Which one?
The irresponsible,
Oh, no. No, I'm
the
no, but it's funny because but it's how I get my life and it's what my mother's judgment is. So that's all. It's just something that I wear and I don't know. I might want to clip that out. But I have an organized mind. I have the gate, I have the gate, the gate 9. I have the details. So everything in this design just does that.
Mm,
Like, so this is the beauty, right? We are unique.
yeah, we
And
are.
this is the mechanics.
So let's see what happens next. Is it going to be another talk on ego, or is it going to be an
Yeah.
open mind or fixed mind? Let's see what happens. Yeah, what we're
Yeah.
going to respond to in the next
Uh-huh.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
I like the details of the ego. I mean, I like, because there were like, okay, this is the flavor of this channel and this is the flavor of this channel, but I don't know if we're here to teach that or not.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see
Mhm.
how we can always come back to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna stop the recording. So wait, got to do our official sign off.
Sign off. A
Thanks.
sign.
Thanks for
OG
listening.
girls.
The OG
OG girls.
girls.
Did we stop the recording? It's still recording.
Uh-huh. Oh well. Until next time.
Mm-hmm.